Hello everybody, this is Dragonzilla here, and today's review will be on some more high-grade / Gashapon kaiju figures. But not just any kaiju models. These particular monsters that are currently on your screen are very unique, as they don't get brought up that often. Heck, it's very rare when they do show up in a top 10 or animation, making these kaiju rather obscure. Hence why I call this group the Obscurities. Now, Godzilla and Anguirus, who I'll get onto shortly, are from Bandai. However, the other three are not from Bandai, but another company, Iwakura Tokusatsu. I think that's how you pronounce it. My Japanese is terrible. But I still classify them as Gashapon figures. Well, everybody does. Now, the IT crowd did not appear in any of the Godzilla movies, but other films that were produced by Toho. However, one of them almost appeared in Destroy All Monsters, and we'll get onto him later. Akira mainly does models of obscure kaiju, well sometimes they do some familiar faces, but most of the time it's the unknown or human-looking aliens that have appeared in the Godzilla movies from the Showa period, and I believe that they also have some Heiseis in the range too. Some come with either accessories, and others are dioramas. So these were precursors to the Bandai HD diorama line that we see today. Now that the intro is out of the way, let's now crack on with the review. Now, since this group is dedicated to obscure monsters, you're probably thinking, hold on a minute, Godzilla and Anguirus aren't obscure, they're too well known to be in this group, and you are right, but these particular incarnations of the characters are from Godzilla Raids Again, a.k.a. Gigantus the Fire Monster if you're an American, and that movie doesn't get a lot of attention. In fact, it is rarely brought up and lives in the shadow of its predecessor, the original 1954 Gojira, and nearly all the movies that were made after it. So in a way, Godzilla Raids Again is obscure. And yes, the movie was in black and white, but I'm going to be reviewing these guys in colour. The first representative of the Obscurities is the 1955 Godzilla, or I'm going to really butcher this one since my Japanese is pretty rusty, Kasuji Gojira. And as you can see, he is completely slender when compared to his original 54 counterpart. You've got to remember that the 1954 suit was extremely heavy to move around in, so imagine if Haruo Nakajima had to fight another monster in that same suit. It would have been an absolute nightmare, wouldn't it? Hence why a second suit was made to make life a bit more easier, but it was still a challenge. Not like nowadays with computer modelling, the same incarnation from the previous movie can be reused, but with some slight modifications. This version of the king had daggers for teeth, and although his mouth is closed, his large fangs are still sticking out, making him look like the kaiju equivalent of Count Dracula, hence why I sometimes call this particular incarnation Count Gorgy. The dorsal spines on most other Godzillas are usually either grey, white, black, or in the case of Titanus Godzilla, blue to represent his atomic pulse. However, on the 55 model, they appear to be silver. As for the colour scheme painted all over him, I can only describe it as a very dark charcoal brown, with some black mixed in there. Like the original 54, this incarnation is also pretty dragon-like, and another depiction of the character that I enjoy. I think the 55 Godzilla would be either my 6th or 7th favourite version of the King of the Monsters. If you have the 55 Godzilla, then you should get the very first opponent that he ever fought, and that would be the spiky, dragon-like ankylosaur kaiju, Anguirus. Now Anguirus, as we all know, is Godzilla's best friend and most reliable ally, but it wasn't like that in the beginning. No, the two monsters were actually rivals, and Anguirus was slain by Godzilla. The first incarnation of the character was a little different compared to the later models that would come after Godzilla Raids Again. From 1968 onwards, Anguirus was quadrupedal, while 55, although was still seen on 4 legs, was able to stand on 2, so the Raids Again Anguirus could switch between biped and quadruped. However, the Gashapon figure has demonstrated him standing on 2 legs, which makes him look a lot more fierce. A few years ago, I reviewed the gummy version of the 55 Anguirus, And while I do like that model, it never really clicked with me, and after seeing ZillaFan85's review on this figure and the 55 Godzilla in the same video, and doing some more research on the original Anguirus, I decided to go for both, and they arrived on the same day. And I actually prefer this figure over the gummy version, as it appears to be more accurate. Again, this has come from someone who doesn't really care for accuracy, but just happy to have a decent representation of the character in the collection. You know what I mean. You have the carapace, which is one piece, and fun fact, the spike shell was originally meant to split into two pieces, but during filming, it was constantly coming apart, and as a result, the carapace was sewn as one shell, which I think looks better. Because Godzilla Raids Again was in black and white, it's unclear on what colour Anguirus was, but according to Misoyagi, I've butchered that one, who was the suit modeler at the time, it was a light emerald green colour, which I think makes this particular incarnation of Anguirus stand out and make him a bit more unique. He does look nice with Godzilla, and if you buy one, make sure to get the other. One last thing that I will say about the Raids Again Anguirus is that where Godzilla throughout the years has looked either like a dragon or a dinosaur, the same has pretty much gone for Anguirus. It's why some folks call him the Fierce Dragon. However, I believe that the original is more dragon in appearance, and all the other incarnations, started from 68 onwards, have been dinosaur-like. Now we are really diving into obscure territory, and here is where the IT crowd come into play. And the first one of these is the giant sea serpent from King Kong Escapes. For years, Gorath was the only kaiju from that movie that I had in the collection, but now he has a reptilian companion. The sea serpent is sculpted into the base, which is obviously, as you can see, recreated the sea. And it looks pretty impressive, I will say. I love little dioramas like this. The skin is smooth, although there are some creases present, as the prop itself also had those. The sea serpent was no man in a suit. It was a huge puppet. Sticking out of the water is the tail fin, which I think you get a glimpse of in the movie. I'm pretty sure that it's there, but you only saw it briefly. What I find interesting about the model would be the head, as it appears to look more menacing, unlike the actual prop itself. I would say that the giant sea serpent is the type of build-sized monster that would attack cities, but a smaller creature that would live alongside giants. And this will be a more animalistic kaiju, like the giant condor from Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, a.k.a. Eberel Horror from the Deep. Godzilla battles dragons, aliens, cyborgs, and all sorts of strange-looking primeval monsters, where Kong's opponents are either dinosaurs or oversized versions of ordinary animals, and the giant sea serpent is one of them. Another serpent that never appeared in a Godzilla movie, but was also produced by Toho, that would be the dragon from Princess from the Moon, 1987. Now if you're a hardcore fan of cryptozoology as I am, then this kaiju will immediately remind you of a certain lake monster that resides in the Highlands of Scotland. And if you're thinking Nessie, then you would be correct, because back in 1978, Toho did actually plan to collaborate with the British studio Hammer, the same company who produced the Christopher Lee Dracula films, and make a movie about the Loch Ness Monster getting exposed to nuclear radiation that ended up in the loch, growing kaiju-sized, and going on a global rampage Godzilla style. The movie was going to be called Nessie, but only a script was written, and that was it. The film itself sadly never saw the light of day. However, a lot of people have said that if Nessie, the creature, had been made into a kaiju, then there's a possibility that she would have looked like the lake dragon that appeared in Princess from the Moon. It just feels like Toho had a brilliant concept design for Nessie, but used it for another beast, and so I called the lake dragon Kaiju Nessie, aka Toho's Loch Ness Monster. And when you see this character, you can't help but call it Nessie. Trust me, I've done it myself many times. There isn't really that much to say on the model itself. It's not like the giant sea serpent that we looked at earlier, where that one had smooth skin. Nessie here, sorry I couldn't resist, has wrinkles going across his/her neck. I don't know whether or not it's ever revealed that the dragon is male or female. I'm not sure because I haven't seen the movie. You have the large fluke at the end of the tail, and I love the head that gives me classic Loch Ness Monster vibes. However, unlike most depictions, Dragon here possesses fan-like tusks, and like the sea serpent, the figure is also sculpted into the base. I believe that this model came out in 2004, the same year that Godzilla Final Wars premiered, and if I got this model many years ago, then I would have portrayed it as Nessie for Kaiju and Cryptids, rather than the monster in my pocket version. Nessie the movie may never have seen the light of day, but if you wish that there were models of the character at least, then this Gashapon would be your best bet. I did have a look online to see if there are any other forms of merchandise for this character, but to my knowledge there didn't seem to be any. However, if there is and I missed it, then just let me know in the comments. A real shame that the Nessie movie never got made, because maybe somewhere down the line, who knows, we could have eventually gotten Godzilla vs Nessie. A man can dream though, a man can dream. And now for the final kaiju of the Obscurities, Maguma from Gorath. Now Maguma, when compared to other kaiju like say Godzilla, King Ghidorah, Gigan, etc. and so on, is not really the most impressive looking beast on first sight. And when you do watch Gorath, it does feel like the movie was never meant to have a kaiju in it, because it isn't a monster movie. But Toho being Toho, they just couldn't resist putting one in, as Maguma was written into the script at the 11th hour. There aren't that many merchandise of this character that are out there on the market. The only ones that come to mind are the X Plus model from the 30cm range, and for 6 to 8 inches, your best bet would be the Mama kit. However, if you're looking for a decent miniature for your Gashapon collection, then Akira has got you covered. I'll quickly talk about the base first, as it represents the icy environment. The orange lines are pipes, and the large funnels are the hydrogen thrusters that were used to move the Earth out of Gorath's path. I like to display Maguma on the base, to give the impression that he is attacking the operation. In the movie, it was a large building that he went after to smash up, and not the jet blasters themselves. But you get the idea. Speaking of which, here is the walrus himself, Wally. I mean Maguma. Unlike most kaiju who have complex designs, Maguma is just plain looking, which is no surprise as he was only written into the script at the very last second. He doesn't have a unique pose, but when viewing him at some certain angles, he does appear to be a bit more menacing, especially if you're looking up at him and all you can see are those tusks and teeth. However, aside from that, he does look pretty weak. Talking of the tusks, they are a clear white, where in the movie they were weathered. Also in the film, his eyes were glowing green. Well, they say that they were blue, but to me they looked green. However, on the miniature they seem to be a dull colour. This Gashapon has captured the suit's likeness in every detail, such as the creases, and if you look closely on the chest, you can even see the holes that were placed for the actor to breathe and see through. Despite being a simple looking creature, I believe that this has got to be one of Akira's best, and if you're a fan of Gorath or Maguma in general, then I would definitely recommend trying to track him down, but it might be a matter of luck if you could find him, because let me tell you, it wasn't easy trying to find him on eBay. Will Bandai ever consider him for their movie Monster Series line? Well, due to the obscure nature of this character, I think it's very unlikely. However, to be fair, for the past few years, Bandai have been giving us kaiju figures who we thought we would never see. After all, Daimaja was announced out of the blue, and Vaughn was requested by many fans, myself included. So I say never. For years, I never really cared much for Maguma. However, after seeing Wikizilla's kaiju profile on him, I did some research on the Walrus kaiju, as well as his sole movie, he grew on me, and now he's one of my all-time favourites. Maybe not top 10, but let's say honourable mention. Remember at the start of the video when I said that one of the IT crowd was going to be in Destroy All Monsters? Well, that was Maguma. Yes, he was going to star alongside Godzilla, but got swapped over in favour of Baragon, who in turn was replaced by Gorosaurus. I have some ideas of what he could have done if he had a bigger part and he was thought of right from the start, but I want to save all that for a future video. And that's about it, folks. Those are the Obscurities done. Even though there are many other obscure kaiju who would fit perfectly into this category, such as Varan, Baragon, Manda and Gorosaurus, but those are reviews for another day. I know I did review those particular characters a long time ago, but I wasn't too happy on how those videos turned out, I felt like those figures deserve better, so that's why I deleted them. But I'll do them another time. And thus with Manda being added to this group, that might have been a bit too many serpents. However, it is these monsters, as well as Godzilla Raids Again, that doesn't get mentioned that often, only very occasionally. Hence why I said at the start, this group is called the Obscurities. I do like the Iwakura diorama sets. They're just as nice as the Bandai Gashapon figures. They'll even go well alongside them, and could even be mistaken for the Bandai models. Not all but some, because there has been a fair few times where I keep mistaking Maguma to be a Bandai figure, where really he is an Iwakura figure. I don't know if the company Anguirus is still around, but they no longer do kaiju products in favour of other franchises, or they went bankrupt a long time ago. But if anyone knows any information on this company, then by all means please just let me know in the comments. And would I recommend these? Yes, they're different, very unique, and would be perfect for your collection. However, the best place to find them would be on eBay. However, you can also get crystal versions of these. However, I would recommend the painted models. I have a few more in the collection, such as the 66 Godzilla, Manda, and Leaping Barrel God. But I'm sure I'll review those guys in time. This is Dragonzilla signing out. Take care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.